Yo,
What it do, man?
I can't call it, man. Cannot call it, man. What's the word, man?
What's the word? Thunderbird. How you drink it in the cup. That's
I
some
ain't
old
never heard
Baltimore.
that track before.
That's some old Baltimore stuff, man. You
Oh,
said that when we was a kid, man.
he said that's
Uh,
the Baltimore. That ain't
that's
from
that.
the. Is that from the east or the west? Or that's just a whole Baltimore?
That's some weird stuff that we used to say when we was younger, man. Who
Oh
knows?
man.
I don't know where this stuff come from. That's like, hey, look, man. My uncle, right when I was younger, he used to tell us all these black man, white man, Chinese man jokes.
Mm,
And I was on everything, man. He was in the army and stuff, so he traveled and who knows, that's one big frat, But it was weird because I thought he originated those things. I don't know where they come from. I don't know, but it's stuff that you just grow up. You know what I'm saying? Which is also part of the conversation we had tonight. You grow up and you share all of the. We keep doing a lot of things, but
mm,
we don't know where stuff come from or how it originated and different things like that. But it
yeah.
is what it is. But I'm good, man. Made it through another week. Thank God. Prayers up to
Yeah.
India Slade. That's my coworker. I work with her in the classroom, man. She was in the hospital most of the week with some stomach issues. So I pray that she get well soon. Um, but it's kind of taxing when you down a person in my classroom when you got to work. So I made it through, so I'm good. I'm rested up. I'm not tired. Last week when we did this on Friday,
You was tired.
I was burning out.
Yeah.
I was burning out. I didn't even know, bro. I was like, oh my god. So yeah, I'm ready now. I feel good now.
Yeah. But yeah, man. I
What's
don't even
up
know
with
what
you?
to begin.
I already know, but I mean, it's up to
Yeah.
you.
I
What you
mean,
want to share, but
to be honest with you, this week has taught me a lot.
okay.
This week taught me how to be patient. It's
Mm,
patience. That's what this week has taught me. Has been patience, especially when you're unhappy in a situation. You have to
yeah.
learn patience because even though you may be unhappy at that time, um, God has the right time for you to be answered. You know what I'm saying? And I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us, including myself, especially myself, whenever I'm unhappy, I'm looking for a quick response from God. And I think one of the things that I learned this week was learning how to be patient, even in my time of being unhappy. Just take my time and just wait for God to, to answer me, to give me that peace that I'm looking for in my unhappiness. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a testimony. It's a testimony that I have for this week, but I think it'll be a different day where I want to share that
Yeah, man.
testimony. Um,
Gotta have those, man. We got two other testimonies anyway to share. So.
yeah, so
But it's just a matter of waiting on the victory, the outcome of
yeah,
the victory. That's all it
oh,
is,
yeah,
bro.
no doubt. Everything is timing, man. So that's one thing I learned this week. But other than that, man, it's good, man. Definitely
I think I
waking.
learned patience on another level, but
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny. It didn't even dawn on me, bro. Like
right.
today, before we get into that, hey, welcome everybody to Finding Notice podcast. This is a live interactive podcast. We are streaming on live at Facebook at Finding Notice, YouTube, Instagram, and I think I said Facebook too as well, right? And then TikTok. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in to TikTok. If you are coming in on TikTok, please share this live. If you haven't followed us on our other TikTok page, please follow us on Finding Notice podcast on TikTok too as well. But it's crazy, bro, because today actually, I mean, this week actually seems like the topic is accountability. Like that's what we're
Right.
talking about. And I think we started this conversation by three experiences of this week. And I think if I may be wrong, but I think the most important thing we learned from it was patience. And it didn't even dawn on me because I'm like, patience. You know what I'm saying? I think that's kind of like the word that, especially as a believer, we often forget about. And is that because we want God to do things right then and there, and that's not how God works. But being patient and trusting in the Lord and trusting the process. But it's funny that we're talking about accountability, man.
Right, man. And because I learned years ago, a lot of us unfortunately have like this savior complex, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we get so caught up in these superhero stories and all of these different things, and you know, when we want to go and we call ourselves helping people and trying to save people and different things like that, we want to see the end result. You know, so if Lois Lane falling off the building, you know, we want to be the ones that swoop in and grab them, and you know, we want to see them saved. We want to see people in a good space, man. But we got to remember that we either going to water a seed or we're going to plant a seed. You know, oftentimes what I realize, it takes a lot of wisdom and patience to plant a seed. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to have hard truths and have those hard conversations to till the ground so that you can be able to plant a seed. You know what I'm saying? I think some of my Facebook interactions and comments and things like that had something to do with it. And it wasn't. And then now, if I get permission from the other person to tell a story, I'll tell a story. But you know, out of respect for him, my love for him, I'm gonna keep that, you know, between us. You know what I'm saying? But what I realized that sometimes when you have hard truths and hard conversations, that's basically like you tilling the ground so that you can plant a seed so that it can grow. And then from there, you just gotta trust that, you know, life, God, energy, karma, whatever people want to call it, will bring something by to help water that seed and bring about the fruition of that seed that you had planted. You know what I'm saying? So we can't walk around thinking we're going to see the end results all the time, because they said the promises on the seeds and the seed. So we might not necessarily always see the end result of the thing that we start, but just know that it's going to get done.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree too, and like I said, that's why this week has been one of those weeks where, you know, I was telling God that I was unhappy in my situation. I was telling God every day, like, God, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. But through my unhappiness, you know, I kept asking God to go ahead and make a change, 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 make a change. But I wasn't preparing myself for that change, or I didn't have any plan in place where when that change took place, you know, you know, I have a foundation that I'm on. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
one of those things, and I think when it happened, let me tell you something crazy, because when this situation happened on Monday, that's when Tuesday's when I got that phone call.
Right.
And when I got that phone call, I'm still trying to figure things out, you know what I'm saying? Whatever my situation is. And I'm like, why he calling me, you know, with this? Like, what is it that I'm, you know, where is it that we're going with this conversation? And pretty much what I did was, like I told you, I said, this year was a year where I've learned, especially from last year, I've learned to meet people where they are. You know what I'm saying? Without passing judgment, without holding any grudges, but I just want to listen to people to see where they at. You know, is there any truth into what they're saying? And not even pass any judgment, because one thing I don't want to do is, I don't want to tell somebody they're wrong for believing in what they want to believe in. You get what I'm saying? I want to be able to respect you as far as like your belief goes, but I don't have to accept it. But I can respect you and say, hey, you know, if that's what you believe in, then go ahead. You know, that's your belief. That's your truth. You know what I'm saying? So I've tried to really meet people, not even try, now I'm meeting people where they at without even passing any judgment. But what it taught me from that conversation was patience. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because somebody took the patience with me to get
That's
me
right.
to be able to get to be the man that I am right now. But it
Right.
started with me taking accountability of my shortcomings. You get what I'm saying? And I think,
Right.
you know, as we're going to go through this conversation, I think that's where, you know, that's the beginning of wisdom, is you taking accountable for your mistakes and your actions. And I think that's where your growth really begins, is when you start taking that accountability and everything. So.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, it takes certain acknowledgments to grow, certain acknowledgments to make different behaviors and changes. But like I said, you got to admit that you need to be saved in order to be saved, bro. And
Facts.
that's one thing that like I'm learning with people. And I feel like with me personally, I can work with anybody. I'm willing to work with anybody if they can show that they want to change, if they want to grow. You know, if it's one of those things where you want to keep repeating the same thing, after a while, it's like I gotta exclude myself, because now I gotta, you know, reserve and preserve my energy and my heart and my feelings and different things like that, because you one of those people that some people just really gotta learn the hard way. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen it happen. Like, you know, I've never been. That's the reason why I say I would like to live a life of wisdom. Like I'm never one of those type of people that would like to sit back and say, hey, I seen this person go down this dark alley and they getting mugged. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna go down that alley. Ain't nothing gonna happen to me. I don't need to go down there. Wisdom tells me I'm gonna find a different way, or I'm gonna do something different. I'm not gonna go the same route. I can learn from those things, especially even what I've learned about even with people is people can sit back and admit the mistakes that they made. That's what made me really listen to it, because if you walk around and you never make mistakes, and you walk around and you never, it's one thing to say I make mistakes. It's one thing to say, oh, I am humble, or this and other. It's another thing that when you can actually tell me what humbled you and why it humbled you. You know what I'm saying? And that to me is a mark of growth to me. You know what I'm saying? So I've been in situations, a lot of different situations where, I went back and apologized to people because I want to make sure that my stuff is clear. I don't want to block any of my blessings. You know what I'm saying? But other people did not apologize to me. And I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? It's just that we have to have a certain level of understanding before we can repair certain bridges and walk over it until we have that same level of understanding. The reason why it's easy for me to apologize is because I don't want anything blocking my blessings. I want my space. I want my spirit and my energy to be clear. You know what I'm saying? So I'm good with that.
Yo, it's funny. It's crazy you saying that, because when before the Spirit of God really touched me in the sense where it matured me and molded me to the person I am today, to be able to forgive my dad, right? My dad is one of those people that's never thought he did anything wrong. My dad is never wrong. He has never been able to apologize to this day. Anything that he has done that we thought like was wrong, he has never. That's one thing my dad has never done, is took accountability. And I don't know if it's just hard for him to say he's sorry. I don't know if it's just the way he was brought up. I don't know, because
I think it's just the age of dudes for real, man. That's me personally.
But see, that's the thing though. I can't really. I used to think like that. It's brought up. But then you got to think about it too, though, bro. If you don't like something, if you don't like me doing something to you, and you don't like that feeling, and you do that same thing to somebody, it's not. It goes beyond. This is how I was raised. You still can make decisions. You still can make choices, because I could easily say the same thing. My dad didn't raise us like that. Nah, my dad was physically there, but as far as like a parent wise, he wasn't really a parent. My dad was just really a rod, a stick. He just only disciplined. My dad was just a straight discipline. No education behind his discipline. You get what I'm saying? So he was just a strict discipline. I'm right, you wrong type of a father. You get what I'm saying? But I could have easily also said that's how I was going to raise my kids. But I knew I didn't like that. So I don't raise my kids like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it goes back to the way that treat others the way you want to be treated type of conversation. You know what I'm saying? And my dad, that's the reason why my relationship with my dad at that time, I really didn't care to be around my dad, because it was like, here's a man who's supposed to teach me about life, but really ain't teaching me nothing about life. My upbringing was, you got to figure the things out on your own. You know what I'm saying? And my dad always felt like he was right. And he's clearly wrong, but he felt like he was right. My dad would do something to you and expect you to apologize to him. So people like that, as I was coming up, I didn't really like being around. If I got in a relationship and there's somebody that knows it all, I don't want to be around you, because I feel like nobody's perfect. My dad made himself seem like he was perfect, because he didn't know how to take accountability and say, you know what, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't so much like I'm looking for you to come say, hey, look, I break down and crying and all that. Nah, it just take that accountability and say, hey, you know what, I did you wrong. Because if you go to the scripture, it says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for your days on earth may be long. For this is the first commandment with promise, right? It also says, parents, do not grieve your children. Well, my dad missed that part, because he grieved us a lot. I mean, he grieved us a lot, to the point where when we saw our dad coming home, we used to all scatter like roaches, man. Everybody used to go in their hiding spot because of how abusive, how mentally abusive, physically abusive, emotionally abusive. He just didn't know how to say sorry. And that's what it toughened me up. But it also made me realize that, you know what, if I become a parent, I would never put my kids through this. And that's why I said I can't give them that, because even though you may be raised up like that, if you didn't like it as a parent, at least this is what I was told, that at least this is what I thought, that the things that we didn't get when we was coming up, we want to make sure our children get. So if it's affection, if it's love, if it's, being apologetic to your children, or just showing them extra affection, we wanted to make sure that what we didn't get and we lacked, we want to make sure our kids never lack that. But my dad was totally the opposite. What we didn't get, my dad told us, he said, because I didn't get it, y'all not gonna get it. Those were his exact words. So like when we talk about that accountability part, it plays a very big role when we talk about life and how certain things apply to us and how we try to even give information to people. Because my information to my son was like, hey, I'm doing everything that my dad didn't do for me. So if I do something that you don't like, let me know. I will apologize to you. That's me having that accountability part with my children, even at 12 and 6. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, if I do something wrong to you, especially with my oldest one, I talk to her all the time. I'm like, hey, I may be hard on you, but this is the reason why I'm hard on you, because you're my first. And everything that we trial and fail with you is going to correct us with your other siblings. So forgive me if I yell at you, because I want to make sure that you don't depend on nobody, not even me and your mama. If we do it for you and we help you out, that's a plus. Not because you needed us to do it, because, hey, we wanted to put the extra on top of what you already got. So it goes a long way, bro. It goes a long way, man.
And I just think that's a generational thing. And the reason why I said that, because I know we all probably can have conversation like that, because I speak to a lot of older men and different things like that, even a little bit older than me. Mm-hmm. And some of them and their response would be, so what? He fed you, like the whole fences concept, like with Denzel Washington or James L. Jones, depending on which version of it that you saw. And they had those conversations like, I ain't gotta like you. I raised you. I made sure you eating and this, that, and the other. And that's their mentality. But to me, I think that was something that was passed down to them because, their fathers and grandfathers weren't that far removed from segregation and slavery and different things like that, and dealing with certain kind of racisms and things like that. So I think us growing up and having that, every generation to me is supposed to evolve and get better, so although I don't hold that against any of them, it just makes me understand them a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't, like I said, I've got the generalized apology, if I hurt you, I apologize. But none of them ever say, I'm sorry that I never listened to you. None of them say, I'm sorry that I took things away from you. I'm sorry that I abused you. I'm sorry that I wasn't man enough to understand or know the things that I needed to know. I'm not saying there's none of them like that. But when you sit back and look at the overarching generation of it, you know what I'm saying? Nowadays, I guess you can't say that now because they alpha men. And alpha men, I guess, don't apologize for anything. But that's another story. But yeah, I do that to my daughter all the time. The same thing with you. Shout out to my stepfather, Glenn. Shout out to Bishop Tyrone Smith, Emmanuel Melton, Terry Edwards. Those are like the men that I had in my life. That was examples to me. You know what I'm saying? I shout out my real father, Roger Bradshaw. That's my birth father. You know what I'm saying? And he was around and taught me certain things. And all of these men serve different key roles in my life at different moments in my life. You know what I'm saying? So it's all different things like that I learned from each one of them, and I appreciate them for what they did to me and everything like that. But I also sit back and I look at my daughter and the things that I've experienced from those men as men makes me go back to my daughter and talk to her differently. And I used to ask her all the time. It probably annoyed the heck out of her, growing up. And I was like, yo, is there anything that I need to be doing better? Like, I want to listen to you. I want to open up to you. Because there's certain things that I realized, like I said, that we never learned. Like, being vulnerable, talking about things, holding stuff in, what I'm saying, not being able to effectively, that's another thing, like effectively communicate. All of these things is about accountability. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to effectively communicate. Because I remember one time, I was telling this young lady, she was like, my job is to give the voice to the voiceless. And I was like, well, what's the use of giving them a voice if they don't have anything to say? Right? And then that's how you get Kanye West at the White House, you know what I'm saying, and talking and saying that slavery was a choice. That's how you get all of these different people out here, you know what I'm saying, which actually ties into everything that we about to say. You know what I'm saying? We gave this long soliloquy and prelude to the actual conversation where we was coming from. But that was one of the reasons why, you know, we really wanted to talk on this subject about accountability, because there's so many people out here that have voices. There's so many people that's out here, but none of them really are accountable for their actions and the things they do. First of all, one of the things that I'll say that I disagree with about the structure of church is the fact that only people over top of you can hold you accountable.
Mm.
You know, you can't go and talk to leaders, and you can't go and say, hey, you did this, and hey, you did this, and this is what's going on, and you know, you're supposed to serve in this role, you know, and no, you can't talk to me. Only my father, or you know, my spiritual father can talk to me. Only the first lady can correct me. You know what I'm saying? You know, only these people I can talk to that's able to correct me. But when I sit back and I look at the parable of Jesus, right?
Mm-hmm.
The disciples basically was holding Jesus accountable. When Jesus was teaching his parables, that a parable basically, for anybody that don't know, is a story that's is like an analogy. You're not even supposed to take it like you're supposed to take it the lesson out of the story, but it's not technically supposed to be the literal story, which is another conversation I had with somebody. It's a parable. It's not supposed to be taken literal. You're supposed to take the lesson out of the story. But he told the disciples would question him. It says in the Bible, like, man, what is he talking about? And Jesus even said, he said, them, I would tell them parables, but you, I would tell you the truth. So when I'll give you the meaning or the hidden meaning in the parables, right? So to speak,
Mm-hmm.
that's what he was saying. So that's what I'm saying. You got these people that's talking, you got these people things, but they just repeating and regurgitating certain things they don't even really understand. And so Jesus was accountable to the disciples. You know what I'm saying? They was underneath of him. That was Christ. That was the Messiah. And they held him accountable for his teachings. And so he went back and taught them the meaning of it. And he would turn often, it was several times about where he would go back and talk to them and tell them the meaning of the parable because they didn't understand it. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that's not always how accountability works. When I come home from work, my daughter say, Daddy, I'm hungry. And my daughter like, hey, even though she's a little bit older now, she got way more responsibility, so she can't tell me her clothes dirty or different things like that because she can go do it, wash them herself and different things like that. But it's like, but if there was any lack in this house in any way, and my daughter came to me, and it's my responsibility as dad to provide it, I'm accountable to her. She's not over me. You know what I'm saying? These lights can't be turned off. There can't be not no food in here to eat. Like, no, I'm accountable to those things. So those structures and those things alone, not only that, it's the people in your congregation. It's the people that's on this live. You know what I'm saying? The people that tune into the show when they asking questions and when they giving their comments. And like I said, you know, the conversations we had earlier, it's like, oh, those things hold me accountable because now I have to go back and study it. Now I have to go back and make sure I know that what I'm saying is true. I have to go back and discuss these things. I have to understand what it is that I'm talking about. So all of these things hold me accountable. There's nobody really above me other than Christ. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm accountable at my job, different things like that. Like, so even the kids, they got to hold me accountable. You know, so I don't understand the structure when people sit back and think sometimes that the people underneath of you is not supposed to hold you accountable.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah. For those tuning in, thank you so much again for tuning in to Finding Orders podcast. We are live. We are streaming live. This is an interactive. So if you have any comments, if you have any questions, please drop it in the comments, whether if you're on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We definitely will get to it. So we're talking about today's topic is talking about accountability. And I think for those who have been following us and following this podcast, we always talk about that everything we talk about is based off of experience. Nothing is fabricated. Nothing is fabricated. Every conversation we've had is not conversations we actually sit down and think about it and say, you know, we're going to say this, we're going to say that. It's just divine conversations that we come up with, or it just drops in our lap, or we experience it and then we say, you know what, I think this would be a good conversation for the podcast. So then we talk about it and then we bring it on the show. But we are talking about accountability, being accountable for the things that we put out there, especially when it comes to talking about the word of God. I think a lot of us we make a mistake and try to interpret things for ourselves and not really ask for the real meaning from God. And I think I talked about this earlier before. I said, man, one of the things that my mom used to always tell me about is when you praying and you asking God for direction, don't go praying to God, asking God for direction when you already have the answer to the directions that you want God to put you in. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of us, when we read the scripture, instead of us asking God to give us that divine meaning and understanding, we look at it from our own perspective and our own ideas, and we try to pass it on and press it to somebody else when really you just not learning. You're just not learning these things. So, you can't force feed the word of God to people. It's not for everybody. It is if you believe in God and you believe that, hey, you're doing the work of God, you only got to say it one time. You only got to preach to a person one time. You don't have to preach to a person 1,000 times for them to convert. If they've truly belong to God, all you got to do is just say one time. The rest of the work will be done by God Himself. That is His job. You were just a messenger. You gave the message. It's time for God to, sow that seed and then water it and have it flourish. But I think a lot of us, including myself, when I started out, I was very zealous. I was overzealous. I'm seeing God doing all of these things. I want everybody to experience it, but it's not for everybody. Heaven is
Right.
not meant for everybody to go, and hell is not meant for everybody to go. Some of us will go somewhere, some of us will go the other way. But when you understand, when you find the word of God and you teaching it and you trying to, study it, study it from the spiritual side. Don't study it from the physical side of the scripture, because if that's the case, then you'll be reading like a storybook. And if that's the case, then you really ain't doing no justice. You're actually doing more harm to yourself than actually doing good, if you ask me.
Right. So right now, what I'll do is this is what I was looking up. Um, Romans 12, verse 18. It says, "If it is possible, as much as depends on you, live peaceably with all men." And so it goes to what you were saying, like, you can't force feed people and you can't do these different things because you have to still live at peace with people. Although we are believers and we believe in the word of God, that's why we did the scripture. The other part I was talking about being a bigot.
Mm-hmm.
You are a bigot if you just sit back and think that your perspective on the Bible is the only one that matters. Everybody's not going to believe what we have to say. Everybody's not going to believe, what I'm saying? So my thing is, I'm supposed to live peaceably with all men. That means I have to respect all people, like you said, where they are. You know what I'm saying? I know I've learned how to preach to people and talk to people about things of the Bible without saying that it's really from the Bible. These are just the lessons that I take out of it. You know what I'm saying? This is how I live my life. This is how I have to do it. And I don't have to necessarily have to say that I learned this from the Bible. And when I start talking to it on a more practical sense, people understand it and be like, oh yeah, that's okay. That makes sense. I like this and that. But they half the time they don't even know that it just comes from the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing I wanted to share was Matthew chapter 23.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what it says: "But he who is greatest among you shall be your servant." And that's the other part about the people don't understand. You know what I'm saying? We have to learn, no matter how great you think you are, no matter how strong you think your message is, no matter how you think everything is in your life. If you think you that much more inclined or in tune, you have to now serve people. And that's what we decided to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just sharing experiences, we're sharing perspectives. Again, JoJo and I will always say that this is not something that's saying that we know, we not have perfected it. We're not saying that we're great at it. We're not saying anything. This is just things that we are trying, and we are on this journey together. We're trying to walk this out one amongst each other, like, because that's one of the reasons why we are so kind of like weak at times now, because we feel like we can do this on our own. We feel like we don't need help. You know, we need help. We have to do this together. So we get on this podcast and we share these things so we can be servants, not to say that we better than people, not to say that, oh, what we're saying is a definitive truth. It's just that these are things that God allowed us to experience. These are the things that we lived through. These are the things that brought us results. And because there's no respect of person, these are the things, these experiences we wanted to share with people. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much it. But one of the things that really we wanted to start this off with, and how we wanted to come on, even though I really want to go through this whole thing, this whole chapter of James chapter 3, because it's way more deep and way more profound when you really go through it and read it. You know what I'm saying? And just bring it to light, you know. And it says, my brethren, let not many of you become teachers. And the sad part about it is, you know, the Bible warns us that in the last day, you know, men are going to be lovers of their flesh, you know, themselves, and there's going to be many false teachers and different things like that. But that's the reason why they wrote this in here as well. It said, don't even want to become teachers. And as we know, there's a lot of internet relationship gurus. There's a lot of these self-proclaimed people out here, and they get on these microphones and they just rant and speak their truths and spill their guts and say all of these different things. But I really believe that a lot of them, when you listen to them and you try to use wisdom and sound judgment, it don't really come from a real authentic place. Oftentimes, if you really learn how to listen, you understand where it comes from. So some people can sit back and try to hide certain things all day long. But then when you really listen to people, that's a skill. That's really a real skill. When you sit back and, you know, you can listen to people. I tell people, as the Bible says, be slow to speak, quick to listen, right? Slow to anger. Why? Because we have one mouth, but we have two ears. Listening is a very critical skill that I feel like a lot of people don't utilize as much, you know. And we are supposed to listen. We are supposed to understand, because that's where we're going to get our understanding from. But when you listen to these people talk, most of the time you understand it comes from either an emotional place. It's not coming from a place of logic. It's not coming from a place of understanding. It's just that, oh, I'm in my feelings. I feel some kind of way. And now I'm going to rant about it. Or I'm going to say this, that, and the other. You know, I know one of the things that we talked about earlier this week on a private conversation is, and this is something that I can identify with. And the reason why I can identify it when the sixth time is because that's what I went through. People have rejection issues, but people don't understand that even in the Bible, when the priest, I want to say it was Eli, I don't know, I can't remember. I'm sorry, Lord forgive me, guys. That was something else I was supposed to study. The priests, when they first appointed the king, right? He was like, oh, they rejected me, and God was like, dog, they not rejecting you, they rejected me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So oftentimes we put ourselves in those positions and people think they're rejecting us. No, get over your rejection. It's like you probably got, you know, people turned away from you. People think you crazy. And like I said, that was one of the things that I know that I had to deal with in order for me to be able to really even trust that I was hearing my spirit right. You know what I'm saying? So people go through these different things and experience different things, and they want to get on these platforms, and then they just want to come and say all these different things, not really knowing. Especially when you see people like, you know, like we was talking about, when you are talking about the word, and you look up the definition of a minister is somebody that serves God, and you sharing the word. I don't necessarily have to be ordained in the church. I'm sharing the word of God. We are administering the word. That's why it's on the screen right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's little things like that. It's common sense to me, but people don't understand it. So when you get on these platforms and you get out here and you want to start talking to people and you start saying these different things and you sharing certain things, you don't necessarily know what you're doing. And therefore, the second part of this becomes very relevant, because it says, knowing that we shall receive a stricter judgment.
Mm.
So when you understand that, that's why we don't play on here. That's why we meditate. That's why we sit back and we talk about these things. Hey, what's in your spirit? What's going on with you? What's happening? What's going through your life? This and the other. We go and we try to seek instructions on how we're going to attack these pods week to week. every time we come on here and how we deal with these things, because we understand that the judgment that's on us for teaching this and doing this is going to become harsher. And we accept that.
Mm-hmm.
This is not something we just running out here to do just because we want attention. Not something we running out here to do because we just want to talk about things and that's just troubling us. When we did that thing about the state versus the church,
mm-hmm.
It was about like people who say they are believers, but they are going off of false and misguided information. So here, let's share these certain things so that we won't be deceived about the things that's going on in this world, because there's a lot of deception that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We sit down and we try to meditate and understand these things so that we just not seem like, we just these know-it-all people that's just going to go out here and say X, Y, and Z, and then we messing people up. Everything that we saying on here is to help try to build other people, try to help you relay or rebuild or relearn a certain foundation so that you can get up and have a more positive, more powerful, impactful life. So it's not about tearing people down. This is not about judging people. It's not about hurting people. It's not about doing any of those things other than uplifting someone else and giving them power. So we understand and we accept the responsibility and the accountability of the judgment that come upon our life. And we not just out here trying to monetize stuff, sell weed products in our churches and all of these little different things and try to get money, because that's not what the whole purpose of that word is for. We're not trying to make disciples of the Final Notice podcast. We're not trying to make no disciples of me. God knows I don't want none. I don't want no disciples of JoJo. I'm not telling nobody to do that. But that's what they did. I remember one time I walked in the church. He was like, "Man, don't come up in here telling us what we supposed to be in here doing." That to me is saying like, and not only that, he named the church after himself. Like, Jesus, that's crazy. Like, God gave you a responsibility and you named your whole church after yourself. I think that's kind of tough. Your whole thing is about you, and now you telling people that come in here to just get in line and serve and don't tell us what's wrong. That means you ain't trying to accept accountability to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Or anybody, I should say the proper English. You're not trying to accept accountability.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as easy as people think it is, man. It's not an easy thing to do, to open yourself up to people, to lose relationships with friends and family members and even close coworkers and all of that. It's a little bit more to it than just getting out here and just spewing out information. One of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to give information to people that are not even ready to even accept that information the way that you're giving that information. You have to treat it with steps. There's steps to everything. You know what I'm saying?
For everything, buddy.
And I think, to really to piggyback on what you were saying, is like, it's a lot that goes on that a lot of y'all don't know about. It's a lot. It ain't as easy. We make it look easy, but it's not that easy. You know what I'm saying? I think one of the going back off to that conversation that happened on Tuesday, when when my friend was going off and telling me everything that he's learned, and I said, I appreciate that information, but let me ask you a question though. I said, well, is it more important to have the information and not live righteously, or is it more important for somebody not to know all the information but at least try to live righteously? Mm-hmm, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because knowing everything, or knowing things that are more than what I know, but yet I'm trying to live right, and you know it, and you know the information, you ain't living right. Like, who has more chance? Who has a better chance of, being saved, or, you know what I mean? So it's like, I was asking a question because it's just like when we come on here, we do like we give out information, we talk about our experiences, but then you go on a Friday night like tonight, you go out to the club and you see me out here, you go like, damn, bro, I thought you'd be on that. You know what I'm saying? That's that. Right. I have to hold myself to some type of standard. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I have to have some type of accountability for what I do. Now, hey, if you want to be a playboy pastor like my boy Pastor Q, be one out
Right.
here wearing velour suits and all that, you know what I'm saying, sitting in the Stingray or whatever, and just be chilling, listen, pulling up to stop the gun violence, bumping rap all the rap music he can find. Hey, by all means, if that's how you feel like that's the way you're gonna get your message across, do what you got to do. But just know, when you read the book of Revelation, I forgot the chapter and the verse. It said, "But behold, for I come quickly. My reward is in my hand, to give to every man, woman, and child according to their works." There is an accountability that we all have to bear. At some point, we all have to answer to somebody one day. You know what I'm saying? So if you're giving out the information, how you gonna try to save me? You can't even save yourself.
That is Revelation 22:12 for those that want to know it.
Revelation 22:12, right?
22:12, yes, sir.
So it's like, how you gonna try to save me, and you ain't even saving yourself? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to start with yourself first before you can even go out there and even try to, save people. I think Church of Pentecost got a message or like a theme that they got for this year, right? And they've been having this theme for a while, and it's called going out to possess all nation, like possessing all nation. They want to go out and preach the word of God, right? And I said that's a very good gesture, because I've always said pastors in the congregation, they've gotten comfortable sitting inside like in the sanctuary. They need to be out. We need to be more evangelistic now. We need more evangelism more than we need preachers, right? But that's kind of like my view on it. But then I said, well, Pentecost that I go to is Ghanaian, is a Ghanaian church, right? I'm like, you guys don't even like being around certain African Americans. How you gonna go possess the nation? You can't even speak their language. You don't even understand their community. How you going to possess a nation? How you going to reach them when you don't even like being in the same presence as them? You want to go outside? How about you tell me, hey man, we about to go do prison ministry? How about you start over there? You just can't get up.
There's a lot of people.
You know what I'm saying? You just can't get up. You can't just get up. You know what I'm saying? You can't just get up and say you about to go do this and going to do that when you yourself ain't even right yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to take that accountability, start with yourself, look at yourself and say, you know what? I'm doing this all wrong. And it's okay. Nobody's perfect. And I'm not perfect. I come on here every day telling you guys all about my flaws. You know what I'm saying? I come on here and tell you guys where I came from to where I'm at. Like, there's no shame in my game. You know why? Because I'm not perfect. And I've taken accountability to everything that I've gone through, because I have allowed myself to go through it. Because had I been obedient and not disobedient, a lot of my experiences may be a little bit different, but God had a different route for me to take in life, which I accepted with open arms, because it's what has made me become the man that I am right now. So it's like, you have to be able to listen to people when you give that information. Take the time to listen to their response, because just because they're saying no doesn't mean that they don't like what you're saying. It's just they don't understand it yet. They're not there yet. You like 20 steps ahead of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you said that the one thing that you did say before when we was having this conversation before was a story in Acts 19:14 and 15 and 16, when the evil spirit answered and said, "Jesus, I know, and Paul I know, but who are you?"
Yeah.
And then the 16 says, "Then the man in whom the evil spirit was left on them, overpowered them, and prevailed against them, so that they fled out of that house naked and wounded."
Hey,
so
I like that version, because the version that I read, they got whooped.
They beat them down. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
this version is nice.
You out here running around and you out here playing and you saying different things. But that's what gave me the energy that I felt like even to start the part. You know what I'm saying? Because before, like I said, I still have hard times like listening to myself and seeing myself and different things like that. It's just one of those things that you get comfortable with over a while. But one of the things that pushed me to do it was that you see all of these so-called believers, and some of them are not even believers, because they don't really say that they believe in God. They just spiritual beings, but then they misquote scriptures and they misquote these things, and they are leading people astray. And I was like, well, if these people can go out here and just talk out the side of their necks and twist scriptures up, which was, what the Bible tell you not doing. That's how Antichrist and all these people come out here and start doing these things. He's making scripture fit them. Like, no, I can get out here and I can say it the correct way and say it right so that they can stop trying to lead people astray. You know what I'm saying? So then they telling you all of this wrong information, and you find yourself in a situation and them spirits looking at you, because that's what it's saying. A lot of times, one thing I had to realize, what my mom used to always make me aware of, is like, you got to see people the way God sees them. So when you start looking at people like that, it's like, okay, it's not the person, it's the spirit that's attached to this person. Maybe this person don't know how to fight this particular spirit off. But if you're going out here with the wrong information, you're going out here with the wrong guidance in the wrong situation, you're going to find yourself in a situation, them spirits going to tear you behind up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Man, you out here doing things you don't have no business doing, and you see what they did to that person. They came out of that person, beat on them, and ran them out of there naked and wounded. You know what I'm saying? So you got to really be careful and really understand what it is. But there's also a reason why I realized that there are as many real authentic leaders. You know, like you said, there's a lot of people that hide behind that pulpit. There's a lot of people that hide behind them walls. You know what I'm saying? Because now I can just stay in here and be safe and be comfortable. I don't have to be around people, because now I'm putting myself in a position like how we're doing for people to ask questions, people to hold us accountable. You ain't just gonna go out in the community and say a whole bunch of nonsense, and then now you got these people, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand how you could be a church leader and then hold certain worldly people on your platform and then allow them to just get off whatever they want to get off of. Like your man, Pastor Bryant, and he was like, had this dude on his platform. He was like, I be cussing, we be drinking, getting the Hennessy. And I'm sitting up there like, that's crazy. You sitting here just making a joke out of it. Like, that's funny to do. But he's also the same guy that want to grow weed in his church and sell it to the same people in the community that he's supposed to be freeing. You know, but those are the things like that. To me, I sit back and be like, do you really understand it? Yeah, the one thing I really do like is that, yeah, you want to go and do like the bands, the Walmart bands, and this, that, and the other. But you know, maybe it's me being cynical. Maybe it's the cynical part of me. I sit back sometimes and I wonder, everybody has an angle, right? Everything, everybody has an angle, right? And especially the ones that aren't being as transparent, and the ones that aren't like being truthful and honest with you. To me, I think a lot of them have agendas and hidden agendas, right? I realize that's the reason why you don't see a lot of real leaders anymore, is because nobody, like you said, everybody, it's easy to hide from accountability. It's easy to duck the smoke. You know, I'm not going to put myself in a position where I can be openly criticized. And although, like I said, this gentleman is putting the Walmart bans and all of these other bans and all of these other things they put into play and stuff like that. We're going to boycott these businesses. I wonder how many of them actually got stocks in these businesses and different things like that. You know, the name of the game is buy low, sell high. So now you get all of these people that's boycotting, driving stocks down, and then you turn around, we're going to go. But it's all like stock manipulation. A lot of these things, I'd be wondering what's their true intent in doing all these things. And don't get me wrong, we do need to band together. But I wonder, like, where's these people getting from it? Because now it's just like, well, I got this platform, and all I can do is negotiate, and all these people listening. So now I can negotiate with y'all from a position of power. I can tell them to stop doing it, because to me, it doesn't really seem as pure to me, you know, when they do things. You know, I was the same person when Colin Kaepernick was taking talking about he wanted to get back in the NFL and different things like that. I'm like, yo, but you sat there and said these like slave owners, but you want to go back and work for the slave owners. My thing is, I don't need somebody to tell me what I need to boycott. See, like the one song I posted on the flyer today is called Savior by Kendrick Lamar, right? And he was saying like how these people, just these activists and all of these different people, they shake hands with the devil. He's like, y'all doing deals with the enemy, right?
Mhm.
And at the same time, he's like, y'all doing this stuff for ag. He said, but it's 365 for me. And that's how I feel. Like, I don't need somebody to tell me I need to come up with a cause. Like, first of all, I ain't never really like Target anyway. That's just me. But they prices. It's like, come on, why would I go there and pay them prices when I can go somewhere else and pay like more competitive pricing? And to me, it's always about money, and it's especially about Black economics. But at the same time, it's like if it's something that means something to me, I'm not going to boycott it because somebody else is telling me I need to boycott it. If I don't like how they were treating him, I would just wouldn't watch football. I don't need to get no platform and tell nobody I'm not going to do this, and other. I'm just not going to do it because it's something that I just don't want to do. But that's just me. That's a part of the thing about accountability, bro.
So let me ask you this.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Leandria. I appreciate the message.
Yeah, let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
Because we talk about this accountability thing, and I think a lot of us, we talk about it also in the community. You know what I'm saying? From the church's perspective, right? Like this week, I told you this week has really been one of them crazy weeks. Since early this week, I seen a video of that rapper, I think it's GS Ronnie or something like that. He was at a car wash with his 5-year-old daughter.
Oh,
He got gunned down in broad daylight. And like when you see the video, it's like there's no need. They didn't even have to kill the daughter. They didn't have to shoot the daughter. They wasn't sitting in the car. They was like out, outside of the car wash, whatever. So they didn't really have to, but they did what they did, right? And I said, dang, man, like, why do we still do things like this? Like, why are we still, killing each other like this? Like, nobody's scared to commit any crime in the broad daylight anymore. Back in the day when you was committing a crime, you waited till it was pitch black. You crept around like a thief at night to go do anything, steal, kill, rob, whatever you had to do. Now it's just like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna record it. I know I'm being recorded, don't matter, I'm gonna still do it anyway, right? But then it goes back to the church, right? The church, the pastors, they talk about, this is wrong and that little girl and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, then if y'all want to boycott all these companies and all of that, how about y'all boycott the drug dealers on y'all corners in y'all neighborhoods? You know what I'm saying? How about you go out there and boycott? How about instead of having service inside of church, how about you go have service outside on the corner in the neighborhood? How about you plug up the speakers and let those who are driving past stop their cars and come listen to that message? You get what I'm saying?
They scared of them. Most of them are scared of them. I said most of them are scared of those people because you know what it is?
What's that?
You can't go out in the community and talk to them any old kind of way. You actually have to learn how to talk to people and deal with people. See, when you are inside of a building, you in the country club, you comfortable.
The yacht club, huh?
Yeah. When you go outside them walls, you have to now put all of your judgment to the side, and you have to really learn how to talk to people. It's not your homeboy or sister so-and-so or, mother, whatever, that y'all can just go in the back, in the bathroom, in the kitchen and gossip and talk about this person, that person. I'm not saying this goes on everywhere, but we know that happens. We've seen it happen. So now when you really want to reach somebody, that takes you to get beyond yourself, go beyond your own level of comfortability, and learn how to talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they don't do it. No, we're just going to go from someplace. They probably, I'm not saying this to everybody because I do know people that will go to their jobs and different things like that. But, as many people that say they are believers and different things like that. It's like, yo, you going to the community? Like I said, I'll be laughing and joking with my coworkers 1 minute and be serious as a heart attack the next minute and telling them everything about God. You know what I'm saying? I'll be quiet. And I don't have no filter on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's who I am. That's the same thing I tell people, like, I can call somebody and talk to somebody. And oftentimes when I'm not talking to people, things like that, if I don't have anything to say, a lot of it's like, I know for a fact there's only so much conversation we're going to have before the real me comes out, right? We can sit around and laugh and joke, we can talk crap all day, you know what I'm saying? Talk sports, we can do this and the other. But at some point in time in that conversation, the real me have to come out. That this part of me is going to come out. And that's what I'm saying. So like I said, that's me understanding who I'm around, what I'm around, and the people that be around me enough knows this. They already know. Like I'm just going to tell you what this is. This is what I believe. This is what I stand on. This is how I conduct myself. So at the end of the day, that's just where it comes from. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah.
Yeah.
That's why they're not doing it. They're not comfortable in their own skin. I don't believe
that's what when the Church of Pentecost, when I heard that, I chuckled. I laughed. And not laughed because I thought it was funny. I laughed because I'm like, y'all not serious. Y'all not even grooming the ones who can't go out there to do it. Y'all not even grooming them to go out there and do it. You think it's easy. Just go out there and say you want to possess a nation. Possess one nation. You can't even possess your church room. You can't even possess your own congregation. How are you going to go out there and possess the people out there that'll blow your brains out? Do you know how to talk their language? Do you not even walk? Do you know how to walk the way they walk? No. What did Paul say? He said, when I'm with the believer, I act like a believer. When I'm with a non-believer, I act like a non-believer so I can draw more sword of Christ. Right? So it's like you gotta be equipped. You gotta be very equipped.
All things to all men so that I can win some.
Man,
and they don't know but how can you do that when they stand on the pulpit and tell you to do you? They tell you that if they not with you, they against you. They your haters. You know what I'm saying? These are your enemies. Like these people that live in your community, not your enemies. Them young boys that be out there smoking weed and standing on the corner is not your enemy. They are people that need guidance, and they know how. It's funny because when I used to walk, I was telling this story before. I walk around my neighborhood. I didn't know how many of them actually paid me attention. You know what I'm saying? And I remember one night I was laying in the bed, and I got up 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. And it's just like maybe it's things that they used to. Maybe it's a certain level of ignorance. You know what I'm saying? And I was living in, like, I moved into their neighborhood. They was there way before me. I got to work in the morning. I go there and say, hey, man, I'll turn it down. I got to go to work in the morning. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. But no, they'd rather stand there. You know, people call the police. They get mad in their feelings, cuss them out inside their walls, call them all kinds of names of this, that, and the other. But it's just as easy as going over and humbling yourself and having these communications with these people in this neighborhood. Hey, man, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to get some sleep. You mind keep turns down? I got to get to work in the morning. Oh, I'm sorry, man. My bad. I'm going to turn it down. Nah, most of these people just used to doing what they want to do. I look at that even when I'm in the school system. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. These kids, you don't know if they parents love them. You don't know if these parents is holding them accountable. And then you go in there with your macho and your authoritative mindset, and you like, oh, y'all gonna listen to me? I'm an adult. Like them kids look at you like,
who are you? You out. What?
Who do you think you're talking to? Like,
gonna cuss you out.
There's no level of sense of humility. Like even when I see kids in crisis, the first thing I do is I get down and I look them in their face and I get on their level. I'm not standing up looking down on them. Hey man, everything good? What's going on with you? Especially the little girls. I hate to see the little girls be upset. Like, why are you wasting them tears on your pretty face? Most of the time when you sit down and talk to them, they crying for nothing. They be like, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna get myself together. And they get back in the classroom and they be chilling for the rest of the day. The little boys, I know for a fact, they just be bored. Most of the time they get in trouble, they be bored. They don't like what you doing in this classroom is horrible. So I'm like, come on, bro. Is this really what you want to do? I said, you screaming like that and you fussing and you throwing this chair, is that going to get you what you want? Is that going to get you what you desire? Is that how you think is the best way to handle the situation? And most of the time they look at me and be like, nope. And I'd be like, there you go. So what can you do? Use your words, let people know, tell people you need a break. These are all the things. See, school, I think people still have an outdated mentality about how school functions. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you do what I say do. You sit here, you sit still, this, that, and the other. Like, no, I'm telling kids, hey, man, listen, tell them you need a break. Tell them it's too much. But that's me trying to hold them accountable on their level. Mm-hmm. That's me giving them instructions so that now when I come back and I have to have this conversation, we already talked about it. Now I can hold you accountable for what I told you. You know what I'm saying? Instead of having a certain level of expectation, what I feel like most people have, you expect people to just automatically receive what you have, or you expect people to automatically reject you because you experienced this level of rejection before. And so now you judging people because you think they're rejecting you, and we're not. That was part of the conversation we had earlier this week, right? Mm-hmm. Like, not rejecting you. You think I'm rejecting you. I tell you every time. And not only that, I can still sit back and tell you verbatim everything that you said. But if I ask you, what did I say? Can you tell me what I said? And oftentimes they can't do that. You know, people can't tell you what you said to them. They can only tell you because they're just so busy trying to get their point across, and they want to be right so much that they don't want to be held accountable to the things that they say. But I'm the wrong person to do that with. You can't. It's weird because there's a certain level of pettiness that I enjoy that come along with that. I'm not even going to lie. There's a certain level of pettiness that I sit back sometimes and be like, because I do listen, and I listen very well. And then when I give it back to you and what you say, now it's like, I'm stuck. I don't know what to say. So, yeah, that's it, bro.
What's your final notice for the day, man?
All right. So our final notice for the day, I'm going to ask people to please go back and read James chapter 3. And I'm going to pray that God give y'all a deeper revelation, especially when it the first part after that part about holding you accountable, it talks about the untamable tongue, right? And how difficult it is really to control what you say out of your mouth, right? And that's part of being accountable. But I'm gonna see if I can read through it real fast. You know what I'm saying? Because I know we got to wrap up and get out of here. But when you start at 13, it deciphers the difference between heavenly versus demonic wisdom, right? That's the chapter on it when you read the 13, start from 13, right? And it says, "Who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show by good conduct that his works are done in the meekness of wisdom." Meekness. See all these little special words. We said, but if you have bitter envy and self-seeking in your hearts, do not boast and lie against the truth. This wisdom does not descend from above. It is earthly, sensual, demonic. For where envy and self-seeking exists, confusion and every lie and every evil thing there are. So when you have these conversations with people, then you saying these different things, that's where it's coming from. When you start getting contentiousness and self-seekingness, it says, and every evil thing, that's where it comes from, when it comes from earthly wisdom. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, with partiality and without hypocrisy. See, that's when you listen to people long enough, you hear them start talking double tongue. They start being hypocrites of the very thing that they be saying, right? So now the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. But I pray that y'all go back and read that yourself, and I pray that y'all get the same revelation and understanding that I get out of it when I read it, because it's like I said, it's way more profounding when you just really learn how to be accountable and how you learn how to start talking to people.
Yo, I think I might need to go back and read that, man. I think I'm going to read that because that's
all I've been doing. I can't stop. I've been studying all week, bro.
Yeah,
it's been a lot, but I can't.
Yeah,
stop.
I told you, it's been one of those weeks, man. My final notice is patience. We need to learn how to have patience, man, in everything. Everything, especially when we're unhappy. Learning patience and waiting on God to bring you that heavenly,
part, bro.
Yeah, man, that heavenly divine happiness, man, that untainted, peaceful happiness, man. You know, just be patient for it, because if you don't be patient for it, you're gonna find yourself in the situations where you're gonna be like, man, I should have just waited. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of us we lack patience, and I think that's something that I would challenge all of us to do. Like, let's start having some patience, man. When it comes to one, especially for one another, especially for one another, especially if somebody wronged you, always give them that grace, man. You gotta give them patience and grace. Yeah, but so that'll be my final notice.
The strongest one shall be the servant. Yes, sir.
Yep. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. So now we're Final Notice podcast, man. If you haven't followed us on our platforms, please follow us on Final Notice podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and did I say YouTube? Did I say Facebook? Yeah, I think I said it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
follow us on all platforms. If you want to contact us, you can always reach out to us at finalnoticepodcast@gmail.com. So if you have any questions, if you even want to start a prayer circle or prayer meeting, if you have prayer requests, if you want us to fast together, hey man, just tap in, man. At the end of the day, each one teach one to reach one, man. We all trying to get there, man. At the end of the day, we all trying to have some sense of peace in this madness that's going on in this world, man. We all need some type of peace, man, because
and KJ Clark said, pray for Prince George's County.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, that's Kenneth. I've been working with Kenneth. I've worked with Kenneth when I was back home in PG County, man, doing that homeless activism, man. It's sad, man. A county as Prince George's County in the state of Maryland, and you have homeless people, getting locked up, and to be honest with you, some of the homeless people actually like being locked up because at the end of the day they get a place to stay, places, food. They get everything. So at the end of the day, but that's not the solution. There's resources. We need resources, and I've been fighting for resources for a long time to the point where, I got tired and I started doing it on my own. That's where the care packages and everything came in play. We got money for casinos and all these other crap, but we can't feed people and get people out of this cold weathers and hot weathers and all that. People starving, people freezing to death. Man,
because can't nobody steal money.
Man,
if they do that, we can't steal the money.
So it's like, I feel
they be in their own pockets up. We can't do other little programs and still. It's a program, a nonprofit here in Baltimore, and one of them they did a FBI raided their office on some years ago, and this, that, and the other because they was in there like it's embezzling. They was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. They was accused of stealing money and stuff like that allegedly. So yeah, I don't know, man.
Hey, Aaron, that's one of the most.
You gotta do it the way you gotta do it, yo. That's why of the most. God gotta step up, bro.
That's one of the most tempting work you can do is when people donate money to you, and you're supposed to help. So before I let you go, I gave my son a test this week, right? I told you it's been one of those weeks. So my son has been selling chips and snacks at school. So like he'll spend $10. Right? At chips at Dollar General. They got him 2 for $1. So he'll get 10 and then he'll sell the bags actually for $10. So he'll always double up his money, right? So he asked me, like, Daddy, can you loan me some money? It's like, yeah, I front you some money, little homie. I front the little homie some money. So I fronted some money, like, yeah, I got you. I said, but I'm gonna need more money on Friday. You know what I'm saying? Friday came, I said, all right, what's up? Break bread. He like, man, my man, he took $6 home. I'm only short. I said, hold on, champ. I gave you this amount of money. I'm expecting this back. Now, it was funny because I was teaching him as a man, your word is everything. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right. I said, all right, cool. I'll give you to the Tuesday. Tell your man I had the money back Monday, Tuesday, you need that money. So, of course, he brought the money home, right? I counted out my money, gave me my cut. I said, all right. Went in my pocket and I said, hey, I got $50. I want you to hold $50 for me. All right, hold $50 for me. Just keep it safe for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna come to you a couple of days and ask for it. So Thursday, say he want him and his siblings, they want Chick-fil-A or whatever. So I'm like, all right, I got you. So I'm like, hey, matter of fact, man, what's up, man? I let you hold some bread for me the other day. Can you get me my money? He said, yeah, Daddy, I got you, man. He went back upstairs, got the money. I saw where he put the money. So I knew exactly where his stash pile was at. So he counted the money. He came back down. He said, here you go. They go to 20, go to 5. You go to 5 ones. I said, man, I appreciate that, man. I said, but you know what? Hold on. And the reason why I did that is because I want him to start being able to be trustworthy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's nothing that serious, but it's the little things in life like this. You preparing them. You prepare him. I told him, I said, hey, if anybody ever give you money and tell you, say, hey, hold on this for me, make sure you never use it. Let them trust you enough to be able, you can keep the money and give it back to them in full. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like a way of me, like kind of like teaching them little life lessons and stuff like that. But it's hard when somebody put money in your hand. Going back to what I was saying, a lot of these people, man, they be misusing their money because nobody holds them accountable. Then sometimes they get away with it, and that's the problem that's going on in Prince George's County. I went into the only male shelter in Prince George's County, and I'm like, this is the place that's funded by the local government. Why is it that there's holes in the windows? Y'all don't have bed sheets, bed covers. How much is really bed sheets costing you? You go to Target, they're like $2-3 for the twin size. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, these are certain things that what Kenneth was talking about. We've had conversations with directors. We have came in and brought stuff in. You know, so it's like, you know, just one of those things where it's really shameful, to be honest with you, man.
Yeah. That's accountability, bro. Gotta hold them accountable. But see, everybody, even unfortunately, the churches teaches you to just worry about yourself. And you don't have nothing to worry about, nobody else but yourself. And the other person next to you and your neighbors don't even matter no more. And that's sad.
Yeah, man. Well, you guys tune in next week. You know, if you haven't already followed us, please don't forget to follow us on all platforms. Finding Otis Podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, man. We appreciate you guys. If you guys have any questions, message us directly, or you can just wait till the next episode, which will be next week Friday, and you can let us know if you have any questions.
I love y'all. Y'all have a good night and have a great weekend, everybody. See y'all next week. God's willing.